welcome back to part 3 of our special conversation with Beiju about CMMC audits and being certified and everything involved in it. We were talking about documentation in the last section and how that needs to match with your actual processes. Is CMMC, is it like a tool problem or a discipline problem? And by that I mean is like, do we need a SIEM tool? Is MFA everywhere mandatory? Is logging sufficient? Like, what's the balance there between tools and could tools solve everything for us?
Tools will do a lot for you, thankfully.
Okay.
With a SIM solution, there's no way any human can monitor all the logs. So you need something that's going to generate alerts, that's going to be doing your monitoring for you. So I definitely think it is very difficult to do this without a SIM or without tools. Things like MFA, yes, you definitely need that. People before used to say like, oh, the 4 walls are one factor and then the password is one factor. That doesn't really fly anymore. You need to have a MFA like Duo or something like that on the computers that you're logging into. It just makes the audit much simpler. If you can just show that on the screen, that question just goes by very quickly with the auditor.
What about like EDR or MDM, both?
Yeah, once again, it all depends on scope. You have to have antivirus on the computers, obviously, show that they're updating and scanning on a regular basis. So that is one of the controls. But in terms of which antivirus you have, it's not necessarily called out. It's left up to us once again.
Oh, okay, cool. So when we're talking about cost, before we talked about licensing, we talked about the auditors. Tools are another cost.
Absolutely.
What do you estimate the cost of tools? If say you don't have any of these tools and you need to implement a SIM and EDR, what do you estimate the cost of the tool set
the tool set we estimate it to be in the $30 to $50 per computer range, depending on how long you want to have your log retention, what sort of EDR you're going to have on there. But yeah, in the $30 to $50 range is probably
per month per device.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Okay. So that's like the tool side of things, which we can manage. Let's talk the people side of things.
Right.
Like the gist is like, we can have all our tech right, but could a human mess up cause us to fail the audit? So how much human training is required for CMMC?
It's actually a fair amount because the expectation for the human side is that you're monitoring the vulnerabilities, you're patching them, you're doing your risk assessments, you're going through reviewing all the controls, making sure you've addressed all your POAMs. So there is a lot of human work that has to be done either before your certification, after your certification, because you have to get your assessment, you have to get your audit done every 3 years. So I'm assuming 3 years from now, they're going to be asking to look back much further than they're asking today. So having all those processes in place to respond to alerts in the time that you say you're going to, and making sure that not only, like I said, you're not only just responding to them, but making sure you're documenting what you've done and that you've closed it out in that time frame.
So do you need a dedicated security person?
I don't think you need a dedicated security person, but I would say it's probably a 5 to 10 hour a week job to kind of maintain your CMMC documentation and processes and procedures.
Okay. What about other employee training? Do we have the security team monitoring this? Does every employee have to be trained? What's involved there on that employee side?
The employees do have to be trained. So the employees that need to be trained are the ones that are handling CUI.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So not every employee, just the ones handling CUI. So once again, it's all about scope. Maybe some companies only 2 people deal with the CUI, and then some companies it's 50 people. So it all depends on your environment. But there is 2 training requirements. One is there's how to handle CUI, and thankfully the DoD has a training online where you get a certificate. So it's very nice and easy, very trackable because it shows you the date and time you've done it. It has your name on it. And then there's also insider threat training that's needed. So once again, there's not exactly a free one out there, so you would have to purchase that as well.
Okay, that's another little cost.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, cool. So that's like people and technology. Let's just speculate on some downsides. Think about legal and liability. Can audit findings be used against a company in disputes or investigations?
I'm not a lawyer, but I do not believe so.
Okay.
Because the auditor you're hiring the auditor, so it's not public information.
Okay.
The auditor, what they'll do after they've done the audit is they'll log your score into the EMAS system. So they're not putting exactly what you like all their testing they've done. They're just putting in a score for you. So yeah. So the results of your audit are not public.
Okay. Similar line of inquiry. Who signs the attestation, and is there any liability there?
Well, the auditor is the one that's attesting that you meet the 110 controls, and so the auditors go through a process of where they have to go through some tests. On the call, during the official audit, there's actually 3 auditors, so they're all working in tandem with each other, and there's a lead auditor.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's not like one person can just be like, "I'm going to give you some money." It's a situation where all 3 have to be in agreement.
Okay. Yeah. We're not lawyers, so let's move on from that. Okay. Last section. You pass the certification. How often does a company need to recertify?
Every 3 years.
Okay.
So their CMMC level 2 certification will last for 3 years.
Okay. Continuous monitoring. We just talked about that. That's all the security tools that we're using, it's not only monitoring the security tools. So one of the controls is that you're checking your compliance to each control on a regular basis. So, some ways people do it is, there's 12 months of the year, there's 110 controls, so you're maybe reviewing 9 controls per month, something like that. Or, you say every year that you review all 110, which is a difficult thing to do in one sitting. So, so you're on this thing for the course of the certification.
Yes, exactly. So it's never ending. Once you're certified, you are continuously dealing with technical issues that may come or technical alerts, but also the documentation, because you're committing that you're going to review the documentation every year, or if you make any big changes, you need to change it.
Yeah, on that big changes, what about like mergers, new contracts, or new systems? How does that affect it? Say you get a new contract and you have new CUI and scope.
Everything's tied to your cage code, so as long as it's in that same cage code, which is your identification to the government, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to use like a new technology to store your CUI, depending on how drastic of a change is, it could trigger another audit. But if it's very similar, then you would just write up a change management saying that you're making this change, and then make sure it's documented, approved by the information security people, and then you can do that.
You can process that change entirely, document it, have it ready, and when you get audited in 3 years, you just need to show that?
Yeah, it's a little bit of some gray area. Like for instance, if you were in GCC High, all cloud, and then you wanted to do on-premise, that would probably trigger another audit because that's completely changing the information system. But if you were, I'm trying to think of an example, like if you replaced if you were all on-premise and you got a new server and you're saying the CUI is going from server A to server B, it's a very similar setup,
right.
But you would have to have paperwork saying we're moving the CUI from server A to server B, and here's the justification, the server's getting too old, whatever the reason is, and as long as you have that change control documentation in place, sign-offs, then you'll be fine.
All right, cool. Well, thank you very much, Beiju.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Everyone, thank you for watching our CMMC audit prep conversation with Beiju. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the link below, or if you'd like to reach out to us to help you with your audit, email us.